All right, tonight we're going to work a little bit on how to wrap up our hands um, with wrist wraps. Wrist wraps are a really good way to protect your knuckles and your wrists from damages of hitting a heavy bag. Obviously, you're going to want to wear some really nice gloves too. I wear 16-ounce gloves. Something that I've said over and over again is that the gloves aren't there to protect your opponent or your partner. The gloves are there to protect you. So as you start hitting the heavy bag or your opponent or your partner, the wrist straps have a little bit of internal help too. In the beginning, you probably don't need it unless you're really hard hitting already in the beginning. But the further along you go, the more you realize, like, hey, this is important. So the way I start them, we have our palms open, palm down, and I put this strap over the thumb. Now I use long straps. Um, If you're going to go fight, you'll have your coach take care of all of it for you, okay? And you won't be wrapping it, you'll be taping and that's it's a lot more lengthy process. You don't have to worry about that right now. But, for yourself, you're going to hit the heavy bag, even if it's at home. Wrap up. It takes 2 minutes to do, one on each hand, maybe a little bit longer. But it helps. On this, it's hard to kind of see, but there's like a little, I don't know, a little ridge where the sewing is at right here on this one. Doesn't matter which side is up. I like to have the sewing, the rough side out though. That way it doesn't rub on my skin. Later on, if it gets twisted up, that's fine. I want it to go over the back of my hand, and I go around my wrist a few times. Okay. So the goal here is to kind of bring it up the wrist, give it a good start. Make it so that it's feeling solid. Come back up the wrist again. And then you want to start going around the hand. So I'm going to go through the webbing, right? The webbing of my hand. I'm coming up the back or up underneath the palm. And I'm going to go over the back of my hand. And you can crisscross that too. So I went over the back and then I went back around the wrist again. What that does, it helps to support the wrist some more. The wrist injuries are pretty big when you're hitting the heavy bag. um, more so than even the knuckles. Wrists are, they'll start flexing a little bit, and you'll start watching your hands shake when you're not even hitting the bag. So we'll do that maybe once or twice, crossing it over again, and then what we'll want to do. I went a little extra. What we'll want to do is leave our hand open really wide here. Okay, I'm going to go around the wrist, over the thumb here. And what I want to do is I'm going to go finger, ding, finger, finger. And then, so I've gone through all the little fingers. And then what I'll do is I'll finish off by going around this thumb area here. Getting a little tangled here, but you'll see it here in a second. Notice how my fingers are staying wide. That's going to keep this from slipping. So what I want to do here is I want to take this and bring it through the meat part between the thumb and the index finger on the last one. And what that'll do is it'll cinch all of that together. So what you'll see is you'll have all your knuckles protected, and then that meat, the middle part between your fingers and your thumb, that's sort of your last one. Okay, and then at that point, you can finish out on the wrist, or if you want to spend more time on the knuckles, you can do that. I've kind of ran out of tape here, out of wrap, so I'm just going to finish out the wrist. Now, I ended up backwards. These are Velcro on this side. It's kind of hard to see. The Velcro on this side. So if I go over the top, it's not going to work out. The Velcro won't stick. So I'm going to spin it around so the Velcro's on the outside when I finish. And it makes it a little tougher for my wrist to totally fold over, okay, or up the other way, or side to side. And then I have some protection between my knuckles. Super important. And it's solid. The other thing that I think is overlooked with wrist straps, I don't think a lot of people think about it. So you're going to spend a lot of money on your gloves. You know, some people spend, you know, just a couple bucks, $20 on a pair of gloves. Other people are going to spend, you know, 60 upwards to $200 on their gloves. Putting a piece of cloth in there is going to absorb a lot of the moisture that's going to come off your hands, and that's going to make it so that your gloves don't get as funky, yucky through sweat as quickly. And so your $200 pair of like super awesome gloves that you bought are going to last a whole lot longer if you wrap up. So if you just, you know, that's all you're thinking about is I really love my gloves. That's one way of thinking about it. The other thing is, you know, this movement impacting that wrist over time. You watch old fighters; they got shaky hands. That's why you're supposed to wrap up. All right, so go redo that video and watch it over and over again, and you know, take your time. And it's difficult at first. It's really not. It's not an easy process to figure out. You know, take your time. This is just one way of wrapping too. I should have said that right in the very beginning. There's a lot of different ways to wrap your hands. You know, YouTube is a good resource right now. And so, you know, if you don't like my way of wrapping, maybe you need more protection around your knuckles. There's other ways of doing it. So take a look. All right. All right. Have fun. Thank you.